Okay, let's try this thing again. Fingers crossed. I can't see anybody in the chat yet. I'm relying on you guys to tell me if you are able to see this stream. Please let me know, because if not, that's going to be a major problem. I don't want to trash StreamYard. They've been really good. But yeah, that last thing, that was crazy. I was talking to myself for about a minute, and then I'm like, I'm not getting any feedback. So, okay, I look good. We're good to go. I see that there's people in the chat. Yes, yes, good. Prayers work. God bless you all for being here. Please give it a thumbs up on your way in. That is the best possible way to get my content to surpass YouTube's suppression. We all know it's happening, it's real. You guys see me? Okay, cool. That's great. Thank you all for being here. Now, let me start my spiel all over again. I was super annoyed, but I walked away and got some fresh air. Everything's good. Okay. Now, I understand I have been missing in action for the past couple days. And the short answer for that is, I got some unexpected busyness in my personal life. I mean, it is what it is. It's not all bad. It's whatever. It is what it is. But nonetheless, I'm here today and I appreciate you all for being here. I think it may be possible for me to still go live every day, though it's increasingly less likely for personal reasons, but I may not be able to do it every single day. And we know I've been doing live streams pretty consistently every day for the last like 3-4 months. So I've been on a roll here, but yeah, that's just what's going on. But God bless everybody for tuning in today. You guys were, looks like people got the link to this second stream. So everybody's joining the chat that was there before, hopefully. And again, please don't forget, before we get started, give this stream a thumbs up if you haven't already. Now, before we get to all the dark, sad, angry, depressing news, let's start with something positive.
Trying to feed the people.
What are we cooking?
Hamburgers, chicken. I got sausage, eggs. Just a little simple stuff that you can have and not have to worry about making a mess or grab and go type of food.
Are you from the area?
I was born in Paducah, but I came down here today from Clarksville.
You came out here just to cook for people? Wow. You have a restaurant, or you?
No, sir. Just needed to be done.
So that's a good story. I should have probably given a little context to it before. But this was a good Samaritan, just a man that had a lot of love in his heart, who drove like 30 minutes from his town or whatever in Kentucky to set up a barbecue grill and cook for all the people who just had their lives wiped away by a tornado. So he brought food, water, and spent his day cooking for people and helping out. And of course, this doesn't get a lot of coverage because it doesn't divide us and make us hate each other, but this is a very good story. We are, I think, good-natured people. We have the tendency to be good or bad. This guy chose to be good. He chose to use his time, his money, his resources, and all of his efforts to go help people who needed it. So God bless this man. And I feel terrible for forgetting his name. People have been talking about it, but all the links I've found today, they were just saying good guy, good Samaritan, but they didn't say his name. I think his name should be recognized. But anyway, that's really good news. So this man came from 30 minutes away to go and help the people in this town in Kentucky that just had their lives destroyed. And what a tragedy that is. I mean, they're still finding people or whatever, but it's sad. I still pray for everybody that's been affected by this. And storms are blowing through the Midwest now too. I saw roofs getting blown off in Chicago. Crazy stuff. But if you just stop eating burgers and driving pickup trucks, let the government get more powerful, take your money, I think we can curb some of these superstorms. And this actually, before we move on, for real, this actually makes me think of when I first moved to Florida in 2017. It was fall of 2017. Within a month of living here, there was a gigantic storm that came through, a hurricane. It was so big, it covered the entire state. It was called Hurricane Irma. And local news reported it as, this is a big storm, evacuate if you can, but don't panic, right? national news, CNN specifically, they called it a nuclear hurricane. And that was my first real experience seeing hyperbole and sensationalism. And it's just terrible what the news does for clicks to push fear. And I don't know why it made me think of that, but these storms, all this crazy stuff happening, expect more of it. 2022 is going to be a wild one, you guys. It's going to be wild. Now, let's move on. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here. But before we talk about CNN, I just want you guys to know this is the new normal. I'm only playing this so that you guys know this is a TED Talk from, but it says 2019, but this was before 2019. They want to normalize pedophilia.
I want to quickly summarize where we are at the moment. According to current research, pedophilia is an unchangeable sexual orientation, just like, for example, heterosexuality. No one chooses to be a pedophile. No one can cease being one. The difference between pedophilia and other sexual orientations is that living out this sexual orientation will end in a disaster.
So that I haven't listened to a TED Talk since. Not since then. I mean, the disgust that I have for people who defend one of the worst crimes, one of the worst acts of evil you can commit on another human is, violating a child. And that's what a lot of people have been caught doing. And it's awful. So here you go. The story of the day. Busted. Another CNN producer caught sex acts with fiance's young daughter. Fantasies exposed. So there's a Project Veritas video. And I'm going to be honest, I could only get through about 4 minutes of it because I already knew what was going on right from the headline. But just to hear this man talk so disgustingly about a child who works for a network where another producer was just arrested, now charged with committing these disgusting acts against children. It made me zoom out and realize this is a pattern. This is a pattern. This isn't one isolated incident. This isn't just one network. It is an entire network that is well connected, well orchestrated as far as protecting each other, right? They say, Alex Jones, he's such a crazy far-right conspiracy theorist. Remember, Alex Jones for years said there is a high-profile network of human traffickers, child sex traffickers, et cetera, et cetera. Where was the lie? It's all coming out. It's all being exposed. And it makes sense why CNN wants you to look the other direction. Like, hey, January 6th, Anderson Cooper goes to the live coverage in Kentucky so that he can have the optics, the backdrop, like reporting live from Kentucky where their houses have been blown away. Here's the latest bombshell about text messages. Mark Meadows, January 6th. They want you to look the other way. And then they're bashing Fox News, attacking Fox News. Why hasn't Laura Ingraham said anything? Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, this. What about what's going on at your network? Okay, 2 pedophile producers, one arrested, one, there's allegations. So I got to say that legally he has not been charged. These are allegations. We'll see what comes of it. You just had Chris Cuomo fired over now we know it wasn't really because he helped out his brother, who was also accused of some egregious crimes. It's not just crimes against children, it's crimes against human beings. And so Chris Cuomo, his brother, Don Lemon's been accused. We know about the Zoom call masturbator, all working for the same network. And then Chris Wallace just goes over there to join him. I'll tell you what, if I were a low-level CNN employee and I caught wind of all of this that's happening behind the scenes, producers, anchors on air, contributors, getting their jobs back and all of that, I would resign. I would resign with a quickness because there's too many media companies out there anyway. I mean, imagine me working for CNN. I can't. But I'm just saying, if it were me and I was working there, I would be resigning. But you got Chris Wallace going to join. This network has such a disgusting reputation. And now we're finding out they've been covering it up. So just think, what all don't we know yet? What has yet to come out? Think about the people who haven't been caught. I hope more people come forward. It's a brave act to come forward against this corrupt establishment. They protect each other. The corporate news protected Jeffrey Epstein. You're not hearing much about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Hollywood protected Harvey Weinstein. Are you guys getting it yet? Remember Penn State? Remember Joe Paterno? Protected the pedophilia going there. It's in the priests, in the Catholic Church. It's an ongoing problem. And so I don't want to spend too much time on it because it just makes my stomach turn that we are here and all of it's coming out now. So now it's not just right-wing Alex Jones is saying crazy stuff that there's a connected pedophile network. There's a connected pedophile network. It's real. It's happening. And it's people from different industries all protecting each other. I mean, it's just wild, man. But here's the news on Project Veritas. If you just look at the news, how is Project Veritas being reported? From the New York Times. How Ashley Biden's diary made its way to Project Veritas. Right, that's the big scoop. Not the contents of Ashley Biden's diary. How did Project Veritas obtain this? Or from the Washington Post. Project Veritas nearly doubled its funding in 2020 while amplifying baseless election claims. See the misdirection? So they don't want to talk about the bombshell reporting from CNN, somebody who came forward, a whistleblower from CNN. And this isn't just conspiracy theory. This is a recorded audio, the text messages. I mean, where is the FBI on this? Oh, that's right. The FBI just kind of sits around and waits. I mean, think about it. You could go all the way back to what's his name that made it. I think he's actually out of jail now. Anthony Weiner. Remember his laptop? Hunter Biden, his laptop. Will that ever be prosecuted? We keep seeing videos and images like we've seen for decades of the current guy occupying the White House being inappropriate with children, saying he likes kids better than people. They've been putting it in your face for the longest time. And I just, like I said, this is really heavy, hard stuff to report and talk about and cover, but that's where we are. And the fact that there's, good journalists out there uncovering all this dirt. They're trying to normalize it. People trying to normalize the pedophilia and like, oh, we just need to call it minor attracted persons. It's okay. We should care about them because they want this to be the new norm. They want it to be the new norm. They want to gaslight you into oblivion and they want to keep just putting it out there. Oh, drag queen story hour. It's time to be inclusive. I'm telling you guys, it is getting wild out here. So we'll see what happens after this Project Veritas expose. It probably will just be like everything else, just get swept under the rug. People will probably stop talking about it, probably conservatives included, after a couple days. Don't expect even Fox News to report on this. Actually, they might because it's CNN in the spotlight. Actually, I think Tucker Carlson might have said something about it because it's so public now. Again, they keep protecting each other across multiple industries. Hollywood looks the other way. The Obamas look the other way. Oprah, how did Oprah not know? You mean to tell me Oprah knows the world's worst people and just didn't know? It's one thing if you didn't know your next door neighbor was a sicko, and that's just one person, and then you disassociate yourself or whatever. But how do you know like 15, 20 people that also happen to be predators? Think about Ed Buck, the Democrat donor. Remember Ed Buck, who was injecting men with meth in his hotel and doing all kinds of stuff? They fought after the third person who overdosed in his apartment. Then the cops made an arrest. Okay, fine. Think how long it took for Epstein to get arrested. And then Epstein was back on the street again to commit more dirt. Think about how they turned the other way. Joseph Rosenbaum, he's a hero. Jeffrey Toobin, yeah, come on back, work for the network. We'll just pretend like that didn't happen. We'll just address it really quickly, and then you can go back to bashing Trump again and talking about how bad conservatives are. It's crazy, you guys. This is just, it blows my mind that this is not getting more coverage from other networks that might be, not compromised. It makes sense that the big corporate media would have interest to cover this up, right? We know the ABC News covered up the Epstein story. That's been proven already. It's just, yeah, guys, we'll see what comes out of it. But I'll move on. I addressed it already. It'll just make me more angry. And yeah, let's move on from that. Let's talk about some of the COVID insanity. Let's start with this funny video right here. If you haven't heard of this woman, her name is Conservative Mama. She has a YouTube channel. But this right here just tells you exactly where we are with this never-ending virus that we're supposed to change our lives and be afraid of for the rest of our lives. This just kind of explains what's happening.
We need you to stay in your home for a couple weeks. It's for the greater good. We need you to close your business just for a short time. It's for the greater good. We need you to stay home just a little bit longer than 2 weeks. It's for the greater good. We need you to wear this on your face. It's for the greater good. We need you to wear 2 of these on your face. It's for the greater good. We need you to inject this into your body. It's for the greater good. We need you to spend the holidays alone. It's for the greater good. You must inject this into your body if you want to feed your family. It's for the greater good. We need you to stop eating that. It's not good for the environment. It's for the greater good. We need you to stop driving your car and flying. It's for the greater good. We need you to stop heating your home so often. It's for the greater good. We need you to stop saying that. It's hurting some people's feelings. This is for the greater good.
So the video goes on for another, I don't know, minute or so, but it's not just the COVID insanity. It's not just that. It's the climate change. It's pretty much everything. Everything that they're telling you that they're doing is them saying it's for the greater good, even though they're destroying and sabotaging our private energy or our energy sector, sabotaging your life, trying to keep you home, trying to control you, censoring your speech. It's for the greater good. All the things. Fauci had to fund that gain of function research in China, of all places, because it's for the greater good. All of that say it's for the greater good. That's always under the guise. This is a gigantic umbrella. It's for the greater good. We have to discriminate against Asians at Harvard and these Ivy League institutions. It's for the greater good. That's what they keep using. That's what they keep saying. So with the insanity, so with that in mind, with the COVID insanity, here we go. CDC issues grim forecast warning that weekly COVID cases will jump by 55% to 1.3 million by Christmas Day, and that deaths will surge 73% to 15,600 a week as Omicron becomes dominant strain. So be afraid, you guys. You're going to die from Omicron, according to the CDC. Grim warning, dark winter. They keep on just doom and gloom. And we know that they're overplaying their hand. They're overplaying this. We're going on 2 years now. 2 years since people have been hiding from germs, covering their face, panicking over a virus that is going nowhere. And now they're telling you, you got to get these vaccines. You need more vaccines. The answer is more, new variants, new vaccines, inject this, inject that. And be very afraid. Omicron is so dangerous. I don't want to go into Omicron and what we already know about it just because I don't have the time for it. And I'm honestly so fatigued of all the topics I cover. This one already, I'm just over covering it. I'm so sick of talking about COVID. It doesn't affect my life personally because I'd never cowered to this. I never just let this cloud live over me. But the news and the way that they've changed society and have people like covering their face everywhere you go, it just, I'm over this whole thing. But the insanity continues, right? They're trying to ruin everybody's life. And so you have over here a maskless Santa in Germany getting arrested. Now, to be fair, there's not a lot of context to this video. So there could have been more going on, but here you got this. I'll just have it on mute because there's no reason to play the sound of it. But over in Germany, a maskless Santa has a confrontation with some German police, and then they arrest him, take him into custody, and they actually have to drag him away. I'm sure that it was for the greater good. Now it's at nighttime, it's outside. Who knows if this Santa was out drinking? You don't know if there was actually kids around. Like I said, there's no context really. But if this was an event where there were kids sitting around or, something to that effect, the optics of this are terrible. Terrible. Germany is hell-bent on repeating its history as they walk around asking people for their papers. They're arresting Santa. Right before Christmas, let's go ahead and arrest Santa. Now, you could see from the video, I don't know how well you could see it. It's kind of blurry. It's not the best quality. He gets arrested, but it looks like he goes peacefully. See, there he is. Jolly old Saint Nick there. He's going peacefully, but then he decides, you're going to have to drag me away. But the optics, man, are terrible. Terrible. They're trying to tell you, hey, get ready. Everyone's going to die from Omicron by Christmas. All their predictions have been wrong. Other COVID insanity, clown world insanity. The Chicago Bulls COVID outbreak. NBA postponed Chicago's next 2 games with 10 players in health and safety protocols. I mean, what percentage of NBA players are fully vaccinated? I'm guessing, if I had to guess, 80%. Now, who knows? Some of them may not be taking it. Some of them may have fake cards or whatever. We know that some NFL players have gotten busted with fake cards, but still, the vaccines work so well. Why are they having all these outbreaks to the point you got to cancel games? And we've covered this several times. I believe it's Cornell University. They just went to offline. Like nobody's attending the school now. Nobody's showing up in person because they had like 900 people catch this new variant. But they don't ever say anything about hospitalizations and deaths. They're just saying, hey, a bunch of people got it. Fully vaccinated people. NFL, 75 players tested positive for COVID in the past 2 days. And yet the NFL is requiring booster shots for tier 1 and tier 2 personnel. So I think that's like executives, front office people, and coaches. I don't think they've mandated it for players yet. So they moved from mandatory vaccines to now mandatory booster shots. But they keep telling the unvaxxed it's safe and effective. It's safe and effective. Well, if it's so effective, why do you need constant booster shots? Well, you're going to have immunity longer than your immune system would give you. Natural immunity doesn't last as long as a vaccine. Okay, what's the difference? Let's say that what they're saying is true. Let's say, for the sake of argument, let's say natural immunity only lasts for 3 months and immunity through this pharma injection lasts 5 or 6 months. So what's the difference? A difference of 2 to 3 months? Like what? I want to know the numbers. How long does natural immunity last versus injection immunity? We both know that they're not long-term. I mean, especially the vaccine, obviously, because they have to keep rolling out these boosters. So it's just insanity. How long do people want to be on this hamster wheel of insanity? Just got my 96 booster and now the government's going to let me go outside. Now I can go to work. Now I can attend church service. Still got to wear my mask though. People got to be tired of this, man. It's so crazy. And I know a broken clock is right. Twice a day. I do not always agree with Meghan McCain, but I do agree with her on this statement. She said, Omicron is a whole new kind of scary. I actually don't agree with that part, but whatever. She said, but I still don't want my 2-year-old to grow up in a mask or spend the rest of my life getting new vaccinations every 6 months just for the privilege of being able to go to work. She probably speaks for millions of people. Millions of people probably agree with that statement. They don't want to live the rest of their lives like this. But there appears to be no end in sight. No end in sight. They're just going to, segue into their climate change tyranny, which is why they're out there talking about these tornadoes that took place in Kentucky, which are tragic, but they're using them, not letting this tragedy go to waste to say, look, this is why we need the Green New Deal, because tornadoes are tearing up and they're getting more worse and more intense. Get used to the new normal. They have to constantly fearmonger about this virus so they can continue clamping down on society. They're going to segue that right into climate change tyranny. And all the while, they're going to keep pushing the fear so that people just bow, submit, and accept it as normal. It's just normal to just walk around in mask in public for life. So, yeah, we'll move on from the COVID thing. You guys, like I said, it's not something I love to talk about. I never really did, but this is, of all the topics, this is like the longest standing one. Moving on. NASCAR's Bubba Wallace stands by discredited noose incident in new ESPN documentary. Another joke of a news organization. They're supposed to report on sports news, and now they're super woke, talking about racism all the time, and they got to weigh in on every case, the Rittenhouse trial. And of course, Bubba Wallace stands by his noose incident. When you get caught, when the facts aren't on your side, and it's embarrassing that the facts aren't, you just double down. Say, well, it's true. It really was a noose. Just like Jussie Smollett. He took his lies all the way to the courtroom, paid for people to defend him, even though he knows that it was a lie. He will take that lie to the grave. He knows it. He can never admit, like, guys, I did stage my own hate crime. Even though every single fact was against him, he still doubles down. So, of course, Bubba Wallace is doing this. But it's sad that ESPN is trafficking this back in. We're on the 1-year anniversary of Bubba Wallace's noose, and we just want to check in with him to see how he's doing. Now that more people know his name and he accomplished his goal of getting more fame or publicity or sponsors, he had all the NASCAR people walking behind him, BLM. He's a propagandist. He's a propagandist, a puppet propagandist. And his only goal is to divide the country. And between him and Jussie Smollett and Colin Kaepernick, they have brought in a whole new wave of people faking their own crimes against themselves. It's insanity. Who does this? Because they keep telling people that there's virtue in victimhood. If you've been a victim of police brutality, a hate crime, systemic racism, someone trying to lynch you in the middle of Chicago at midnight, someone hanging a noose in the garage, what we know is just a garage tie, but whatever, whipping Haitians at the southern border, you will get some kind of publicity. It's good for business. It's good for them. It's good for you. Everybody wins while they divide the country further, making us hate each other further. So Bubba Wallace is a part of that. He's complicit in that. Just a total scumbag. And in ESPN, pathetic and embarrassing. This is why their ratings suck, because they don't talk about sports anymore. They traffic in this woke trash and fake news. 1-year anniversary of fake news. Fake news, fake news. More on victimology. Missouri school district is ordered to pay trans student $4 million after he transitioned from female to male at age 9. Oh, that's a whole nother ball of wax, but whatever. So this trans kid transitioned from female to male, but was blocked from using the boys' restroom. So this Missouri school district has to pay the student $4 million. See, it's lucrative. I've been victimized by this systemic oppression, systemic racism, systemic transphobia. I deserve money and fortune and fame. You can get rich off this. If you are a victim and you can prove that you've been victimized, there's money, there's a career. You can achieve your goals. You can catapult yourself into superstardom if you are a victim. And this Missouri school district, I have no idea where it's at in Missouri, but they're calling it discrimination. So this student has been awarded $4 million. Wow. Crazy times we're living in. What a time to be alive. Speaking of wokeness, here we go. Benjamin Crump, you guys know him. The ambulance chaser. He tweeted this out from, what is this, last week? He says, wow, black medical student illustrated a black fetus in the womb of a black pregnant person. This rarely seen image highlights the astounding lack of representation in the medical field. We should be able to see ourselves in all stages of life. Now, there's a lot of meat on this bone here. First and foremost, pregnant person. You see, without missing a beat, you can tell who buys in wholesale, who's a part of the tribe, who regurgitates the same politically correct talking points. It's all just like one giant cult of how they speak. A black pregnant person. So this black pregnant person, they're showing a fetus. And obviously this is more proof of systemic racism because we don't see black fetuses in the womb enough. I'm sorry. I didn't think that it was a person. I thought you have to be born to be a person, except for in New York, where they think that if, the abortion was botched, the baby was alive after birth, and even though the mother didn't want the baby to survive, you can still take that child's life. Hey, that's in New York. You had Ralph Northam talk about the same thing. If there's a botched abortion, it's not a baby. You can go ahead and kill it. But why are they upset about this in the womb? Why are they acknowledging a baby in the womb? And then, of course, you're talking about black babies. How many millions of black babies have been aborted since 1973 Roe v. Wade? A lot. A lot more black babies aborted than born. Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood, targeting people for elimination. She didn't like people who were, in her words, useless eaters. So it boggles the mind that he could use these woke terms, but then turn around and care about a black fetus in the womb. How does that work, Benjamin Crump? You care about black fetuses? Black fetuses matter? Prove it. Go shut down Planned Parenthood. Take all the money that you've earned, from George Floyd's family and everybody else that is giving you money to be an ambulance chaser. Take all that money, take all your resources, and go shut down Planned Parenthood. Maybe talk about father absence, which probably helps to drive up the abortion rate in the black community. Really funny to acknowledge a black fetus in the womb from a pregnant person. Wow. Moving on. Instacart driver Tara runs over elderly couple's groceries after spotting pro-police sign. And then there's an image here. I don't know if it's further down in the article or not. You can't really see it. I wish I could zoom in, but it's just a picture of the groceries and tire tracks going through them. And the person, I am going to zoom in on this if my screen will allow me. I'm having technical difficulties today, guys. Here's the person. Here we go. It's kind of blurry, but you see Tara? This is Tara. This is the person who rolled over an elderly couple's groceries because they care about, law and order. That's how you know you're in a first world country where you can run over someone's groceries, just destroy food as people are starving around the world, people probably starving in that community, wherever that is, because you don't like their beliefs. You don't like that they support law and order. Needless to say, I think Instacart moved on from her. I don't think she'll be delivering any more groceries. So she'll probably be another public charge. I don't know. It's just sad. So KSTP reported on December 13th that the Blaine Police Department said it had identified the shopper and the charges are likely in the near future. In a press release, the Blaine Police Department confirmed the couple received a full refund from Instacart and further noted the delivery driver has been identified and the investigation continues with charges likely in the future. Please note that while it is wonderful to see the community support for this family, we cannot accept donations for them at the police department. So the police department made it right for them. The irony of that, right? And at the end, a purple-haired Instacart driver destroyed elderly couple's groceries, carefully budgeted $50 worth of groceries because they have a yard sign that reads, "Thank you, Blaine PD." So I think this is Blaine, Minnesota. If I'm not mistaken, there's snow in the background. So that's probably what that is. This is just more insanity, more brainwashing. Hate the people that have a different point of view. Run over their groceries and lose your job, lose your source of income in the process because you can't handle the fact that there are people in the world who disagree with you and they like law and order. Just a pro-police sign, not even like Trump or anything, just pro-police. Let me run over your groceries now. I'm going to be charged with the crime. Stupid stuff. And I guess the purple hair is just a coincidence, huh? Anyway, moving on. Chuck Todd blames Biden's awful poll numbers on COVID and Trump. More Trump derangement syndrome, more insanity. See, it comes from the top. It comes from people who have the megaphones, people who work on big networks like MSNBC, like The View. They work for these shows. They have big audiences, and they pointing the finger at other people and saying that's the problem. That's the problem. It's Trump, it's conservatives, it's Christians, it's these anti-abortion activists, not pro-lifers, anti-abortion activists. It's Trump's fault. It's COVID's fault. It's not Biden's fault. Even though we have more COVID deaths this year than last year, Biden said he's going to shut down the virus. Still waiting for that to happen. I would actually love if he followed through with that. Of all of his promises, we knew he wasn't going to follow through. But of all his promises, he could have at least tried to shut down the virus. He said he was going to shut it down. But hey, it's Trump's fault. Trump and COVID are why people don't like Biden. It's not because he's been in government for 50 plus years and has been a complete failure. It's not because he never worked in the private sector, never created a job in his life. It's not because his son gallivants around selling all these paintings. It's not because of his corruption with Ukraine. It's not because he bends the knee to China. It's not because he shut down the Keystone Pipeline. It's not because he's still caging children at the border. It's not because of inflation. It's not because of all that. It's because of Donald Trump. It's because of Donald Trump. Oh, and the virus too. Even though Biden rode in on, I'm going to shut down the virus. Now the virus is the reason that Biden's poll numbers are low. Well, at least the media finally acknowledges that this man is not popular. 81 million votes, but he's got awful poll numbers. Make it make sense. I'm sure it's just because of Trump and the right wingers, you know, the staunch right wing conservatives that were at the college football stadiums at liberal schools chanting F Joe Biden. I'm sure that's what it is. And so, you guys, they're gonna be trying to replace old Joe and Kamala. And that's why they've been talking about who could replace them. First, it was who could replace Kamala. That's what they were talking about. Who could be the vice president? Now they're talking about who could run in 2024. Who are some names that could run in 2024? They acknowledge he's not the most popular president in U.S. history. They're saying it without saying it. And now they're saying, you know, who could actually replace the guy? Who could replace him in 2024? Who could run? And surprise, surprise, there's a reason why that toxic serpent Hillary has slithered out of the weeds. And she floated the idea. I wish I had the tweet pulled up. Maybe I'll go find it right now. Hillary Clinton is hinting at the possibility of her running in 2024. Could you think of anything more hilariously perfect than Hillary Clinton running in 2024? From Jack Posobiec. Could it be Hillary versus Trump again? Clinton's belief that the presidency is her birthing right and deeply unpopularity of Biden and Harris could see the former First Lady run in 2024. Politics Insider warns. That is so funny. But now it makes sense why she is back in the spotlight, talking, running her mouth. She bragged about not being indicted. I've never been indicted. Like she's somehow some squeaky clean person. Hey, why don't you make a statement about how, you know, victims in the Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell trial, as well as pilots, have named your husband as having not only flown on that jet several times, but visited the island. She's never said anything about that. Or the fact that he's been photographed getting a massage from one of Epstein's victims. She's got bigger fish to fry than calling you all baskets of deplorables and looking down on you from her ivory tower. How many pedos does she know? We know that she's really cool with a lot of them. Ed Buck. We know that Epstein made some of his biggest donations to the Clinton Foundation, but we don't have enough time to unpack all that today. You guys, most of you probably know about all this. You could look it up if you don't know, if you're not aware. Hillary Rodham Clinton may just throw her name in the hat for 2024. What does that say about the state of the Democrat Party? If the best they can do after what they just did is recycle her, bring it. Bring it. I would actually love to see her run in 2024. I would love it. I hope she does. All right, I think I've covered everything. I'm going to pull the chat up over here. I appreciate everybody for being here. Man, like I said at the beginning of the stream, life comes at you fast, and I've just been very busy, if not overwhelmed, over the past couple of weeks. And so I haven't been able to go live consistently, but I still appreciate people for being here today. We even had technical difficulties at the beginning. I had to re-upload and post another link and share it out, but we still got the normal viewers that we usually get. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for everybody that's watching right now. Please, if you would, give this stream a thumbs up. It's the best way to overcome YouTube's algorithmic demotion of my content. They continue to do it. But I appreciate everybody for being here. So some people are saying something about Hillary, Killary, Shillery, Clinton body count, et cetera, et cetera. I just think it would be hilarious if she runs. That would just be too perfect. And of course, it goes without saying, she should run again against Trump. If Trump decides to run. But I honestly think she would lose to pretty much any Republican that you could put out there. You know, if you put Rand Paul up there, I think Rand Paul would beat her, honestly. Let's see. Yeah, it would be perfect if she lost to Trump a second time. That's why she was reading the little letter. What if I would have won? This would have been my victory speech. Let me just choke up. Yeah, she's laying the runway for her to launch another bid. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens there. Someone said, sadly, the storm will never stop happening. It's called nature. We're not allowed to acknowledge nature. You know, we can't acknowledge the divine order of things. That's why we need to have people who call themselves politicians formulate government and orchestrate and organize society for us. We'll be better off for it. Remember, it's for the greater good. That's why they have to clamp down. That's why we need all these restrictions. They have to destroy our lives to save our lives and make us healthy and happy and productive, thriving humans, right? You guys know that. Come on. We don't acknowledge nature. It doesn't exist. It's just because of you with your Ford pickup truck and your steak dinner. That is why we're having all these storms. Ignore the elites and their jets. Ignore the fact that just one of these rich bastards has a bigger carbon footprint than probably everybody watching this stream combined. Ignore that. We're the baddies. Okay. We're down here. They're up there. They're just trying to organize society and make us safe, healthy, and happy. Right? Anyway. Enough of the Hillary stuff, you guys. Okay. I get it. You don't like Hillary. To be fair, she's not too fond of you either. Someone said it looked like a man. Who are you talking about? Someone's laughing at birthing people. Yeah. Except that is your new norm. Birthing people. Pregnant person. Good Lord. Like I said, we don't acknowledge nature. We don't acknowledge biology. If a man was to put on a dress, identify as a woman, and then go crush a woman's bones in some like wrestling match, he identifies as a woman. So you have to accept it or you're a bigot. If men who identify as women get locked up and put in the same prison cell as women, and the women happen to get pregnant, I mean, it's just some anomaly. It's just some phenomenon, some crazy thing. It's definitely not because he's a man. I mean, he changed his status to a woman. So, you know, hey, you can get millions of dollars. I just told you about a kid that got $4 million from a Missouri school board or Missouri school district because they discriminated. Wouldn't let him go into the women's restroom. Actually, I think it was a girl that became a boy or something weird like that. I don't know, man. I sure do miss the good old days. That's a bigot talk right there. You're not a bigot unless you yearn for the good old days. That's like bigot 101. If you miss the good old days, and everybody's got their own definition of the good old days, if you talk to, CNN and the fake news industrial complex. They think when you say you miss the good old days, it means you want some slavery back in the country. You miss the good old days where we were discriminating against the blacks. That's what they think. But everybody's got their own definition of you miss the good old days. Some people miss the 70s. Some people miss the 80s, the 90s. I just miss the good old days. I miss 2019. I just miss 2019. Lowest gas I've ever paid as an adult. Never paid less in gas than I did in 2019. I even took a picture of it. I think gas was like $1.79 a gallon or something. I got it real cheap. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was before I applied my little 15-cent discount. The 80s were the best. I love the 80s. The music was good. The culture was good. The vibe was good. Like the fashion might have been questionable, but it still gives you nostalgia when you see it. But anyway, yeah, I think I've covered pretty much everything. I'm very grateful again for people being here today. I don't know what else to cover. What is today? Thursday. I will not be back tomorrow. I'll give you guys a heads up, but I should be back Monday. I'm pretty sure I'll be back Monday. Again, I apologize. I have not been doing daily live streams. Things have been busy for the past 3 weeks, and they may be even busier going forward. Just personal stuff going on. Nothing to worry or panic about. But as always, I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. God bless you. Make sure that you give it a like. If you're new, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss an upload. I will catch you guys in the next stream.